Hi everyone, welcome to the SIG Network Policy API meeting. Today is the 5th of December, 2023. Let's follow the Kubernetes code of conduct and be nice to each other. We have a really short agenda for today. So we basically just want to probably run through all the open embeds, and then I'll open the floor to anyone to bring up anything they have. Starting with the tenancy API one. Nadia, you want to do your pitch for this one? How are we looking?
Yeah, actually, I did get a round of reviews from Andrew, which is really nice. I'll reply to it pretty soon. I hope I outlined different possibilities for the API itself, since we've agreed on different user stories. So hopefully it will be easy enough for us to just discuss which one you prefer more. Just go there and say, I like this option more than the other one.
Got it. And Yang, I think you were looking for embeds that need reviews. This maybe you want to take another round at this.
Yeah, sure. I've already taken a pass. I think I did left a comment on whether the pass action makes sense for the tenancy use case. I didn't know if that got resolved finally because I wasn't checking last week.
Yeah, we could maybe discuss it here. I tried to keep it open. We have not really decided on anything. So there is basically like one use case, I would say, when ANP pass action kind of makes sense when you want to explicitly delegate the decision for namespaces within the same tenant on whether they want to allow or deny connection within the same tenant. That's literally like the only thing that makes sense there. And we didn't have that as a user story. So if we want to actually consider it for the API, I probably also should add this extra user story there. So we had two user stories. One says, I want, as cluster admin, I want to allow all communications inside the same tenant. And then I want to deny communication to the other tenants. And there was nothing about explicitly delegating the decision about communication within the same tenant to the namespaces that are a part of this tenant. And there is another way to kind of express it, which you can have different combinations of deny and allow, and then tenancy and ANP to achieve the same result, but it won't be as intuitive and it will look a bit hacky if we don't have this pass action to like express this specific use case.
Okay, so I think my point when I raised that we needed the pass is that if we write it the other way around, which is we always wanted to allow from the same tenant, it feels to me that it is often like too strong, right? Because if you have a bunch of namespaces with the same tenancy labels, and then you just create a allow rule, well, a lot of times admins doesn't want to do that, right? Because it means that everything within the same tenant can talk to each other, and since ANP is higher in precedence, it means that it needs a higher construct to override this allow behavior, which has to be another ANP as well, right? So I think from my experience, the use case I've experienced in the Antria users that comes up is that what I hear is tenants cannot talk to another tenant, but I don't really say anything about same tenants is always going to be allowed. So to me at least, I feel like most of the time the use cases is the important part is deny from not same tenant rather than allowing the same tenant. That's essentially my point. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Again, we just didn't really have that in the user stories round of this NPAP. I'm not sure if I probably can add it in this iteration and then also add a pass action based on that, but we need to agree on the user story itself first. Yeah, so I'm not sure what's the best way to do that, or should I have like another PR to just keep user stories separate from the API design? Dan, would you have any feedback on this use case?
Yeah, so I had not noticed that you had pinged me on this, so I will reread this after the meeting and comment.
Yeah, sure. Let's see if we want to add a new user story, and if that's the case, we'll figure out what's the best way to do that. And thanks, Yang, for bringing that up. It makes sense.
No problem. I think the problem is that when I read the user stories, I actually saw there was this specific use case that I just brought up. I just didn't I maybe didn't pay really close attention to the wording, so and then didn't realize that it can actually be split into like disallowing from different tenants can actually split up into two use cases as you have suggested. So yeah, I'll also take another round to see if it's actually getting covered by the original use case that's already merged. I mean, if so, I guess we can just do maybe a clarification on the original use case in this specific PR rather than open up a new one. Maybe say something like, okay, the original use case covers, maybe two scenarios. One is this and one is that. And we might get away with not having to amend the original use case or add yet another use case to the original one. So.
Yeah, I may try to also just list all the similar use cases just to outline the differences so it's obvious. I think we did have one with B and P tenancy, which was kind of similar to that, meaning I want to allow namespaces to override something, but that it didn't have the strong deny to all the other tenants part. So it was just like B and P level tenancy. So it's the difference is not that easy to get, I guess. So yeah. Okay, I think that's it. We'll continue this discussion. Yeah, in comments. Thank you all.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Nadia.
Yeah, thank you, Nadia. And we can continue this discussion here. And if it means that we need to change path user stories, I personally don't mind just doing it with the same PR because we really don't want to flip between a provisional and implemental just because you're adding new user stories, if it comes down to that. Okay, anything else on that before we move to the FQ, TN, and that? If not, Rahul, you want to give a quick round of updates on where we are and what you need for this?
Yep. So yeah, for this, it's still just user stories, nothing too exciting API wise. So I've addressed everyone's comments, hopefully. Dan, I merged some of the wording changes. I just want you to take a look again, see if it passes the muster with what you had in mind. Same for you, Yang. I implemented some of the changes you suggested. Please take another look. Yeah, let me know if anything needs to change.
Will do. Thanks, Rahul.
Thank you, Rahul. And I think the last one was the cider. That. Yeah, I was on PTO for a few weeks, and I think this one might be close. As in, we have not really seen a need for a new object, so I might just merge the API fits for the cider to be on the policy itself, though we are getting some attraction from the Cilium folks, I think, and I don't know where NetHop is from, if they're also from Cilium or not. But I think there were two things that were mentioned here. The first one was really just that not everybody perceives the personas of a cluster as being admins versus namespace owners. So there's a blockage in the way people think. And so they might want to have new objects to then delegate to the namespace owners is what they were saying. But I think it's just how Cilium does it, right? Like it doesn't mean that we need to do the same way because we are clearly calling or defining all our APIs by personas on who should be creating and using what. So, but the second one was more interesting for me actually because that one said that if you have a controller that is automatically taking care of your policy creation, not creation, but updates to CIDR changes, then it's easier if the CIDR is a new object because the RBAC rule permissions that you need are only for that CIDR object and not for the admin policy itself, because that would be more dangerous. And I think Nadia had some probing questions on who creates it and updates it and everything. But as far as I understood, I think it's just that a controller could be automatically doing this on behalf of the admin, but the admin doesn't really want to give enough privilege to it. It's outside of the CIDR object, but we can see what they get back with. And I haven't read Rahul's comments. It's just, yes, Nadia.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there are some nice, interesting use cases to talk about here. But the more I think about it, the more I think that it actually, even if we want to implement something like that at some point, it probably could be just another field or like another type of peer. Because like, especially with the one that, basically the two use cases that are related to this extra CIDR object, they are pretty different, I would say, and may actually end up needing different CRDs for those. And I also don't think, like, even if at some point we want to allow like referencing this shared CIDR object or something that is updated by whoever, I don't think that also means that we'll want to make everyone who wants to set up like static CIDR to create a separate object, right? So, I mean, just inlining it, if you want that, sounds like a reasonable option anyway. I think that we'll probably need. So, like, I mean, probably for this specific NPEP, right, and this feature, we probably don't need to wait too long to figure out how this discussion really ends, because if we just agree that the inlined option we want to have it anyway, we can just move on with that and then continue the discussion about a separate object, like a separate NPEP kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's also a great point. Like if we are sure that we want to do inlined anyways, then we go with that way. But I just don't want it to be a duplicated effort of, well, I guess there's no harm in giving two different ways to do the same thing, but maybe the new peer will be a little bit different also. Who knows? But ultimately it's all CIDRs, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't have major, I'm not against doing the API change and then just merging it if we need to. Maybe we can even open a new issue to track the feedback that we have received here. And also every new feature that goes in is first going into the experimental channel anyways. So if in 3 or 4 months we want to reverse inline and go for the other one, or we want to do both or whatever, we can even do that later on. So unless there is any more opposition for the inline one, I think we can merge that and then see what we want to do about the new object. But I think from my side, action item will be to create a new issue and then I'll capture the discussion there so that we can move forward with this NPEP. Right, that's
good to me. I sorry I was so late, everybody. I had a doctor's appointment. Thanks for picking up the baton, Surya. I've been following this thread a little bit on the CIDR object. I think what you said makes total sense. So yeah, like I don't want to shut down their suggestions, but I think if we track their use case, it'd be good.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think I'll wait for their feedback if just I got the user stories correctly, because it actually sounds like there may be two new user stories which are really different. And then based on what we agree on, we can probably open you and Babs or like tracking issues or something like that.
Yeah, I'll just open a tracking issue anyway so that we can just cover the discussion and put stuff there. So I'll do that anyways, and then for the NPEP, we can still take time to see what makes sense and proceed from there. And actually, that's all we have on the agenda for today. So I'm opening the floor to anyone, to everyone, actually, if you have anything that you want to bring up. Going once, twice.
Nope, just thanks for running this, Surya. I appreciate you stepping in.
No
I
worries.
don't think there's anything else right now. I'm trying to think, does the next meeting fall in Christmas holiday? No? Is it the 5th? If it does, I'll cancel the one that falls in the Christmas holiday, if there is one. Or between Christmas and New Year's. So just look out for that and know that we won't be meeting during that week. But yeah, we need to keep pushing these forward. So it seems like I feel like we've been moving pretty well forward with reviews, so we just need to keep reviewing. But thanks everyone for all the reviews so far.
Yeah. Thank you all. I guess we all get some 40 minutes back. So thank you all for joining. Have a great evening, rest of the day. Bye. See you all.
Sweet. Thanks everyone. Bye.